Hello, Billy.
Morning, Levy. How are you?
Mate, very well. Very, very well. How have you pulled up after what's been a big week, hasn't it? Plenty of footy.
Yeah, it is. It's a big preparation, for the players, for the staff, the media, everyone involved. It's a huge preparation. 10 days goes into the prep, and then it culminates in 80 minutes of footy. So obviously it takes a little bit to come down off that and get back into normal life, feed a few horses, and away we go again.
I suppose it's the great leveller, isn't it? You go from the high of winning an Origin game to getting up at, 5 in the morning and feeding some horses.
Yeah, in the freezing cold and the mud, but that's what we love.
Fantastic. Well, mate, obviously there's a post-mortem after every Origin game. Overall, what did you make of the game? Obviously, we'll touch on a few of the incidents in the game, but overall, your thoughts on Queensland's performance and the game itself?
Yeah, I thought the boys played with a whole heap of spirit. They did a lot right, and at the end of the day, the result showed that. But I really feel that this team's got so many more gears left in them. I feel they've got more football left in them, and that's a big part of mine and the coaching staff's job to try and help them outlay that. So a big focus of us will be, taking out what we did well and what we got right, but then trying to find some other parts to our game, to take it to the next level.
Obviously, things were turned on their head in the 7th minute of the game. I'd love to know, and I'm sure our listeners would love to know, what was the conversation like in the coach's box? You're obviously concerned about Reece Walsh. At the same time, you're not happy with the tackle, but you've also got to start working out how you're going to rejig the team. What was it like in the coach's box when that was all unfolding?
Yeah, you try and respond to situations in the game and try not to react. And at times that's really tough. Your natural reaction and your emotions sort of take over at different stages in the game. So I think the first thing we knew that Reece wasn't coming back. So, we had to inject Selwyn into the game, and, Hammer was always going to go back to fullback if that was going to be the case. So, hindsight's a great thing, and that's where our mind went. Obviously, after making sure that Reece was okay and he was on his feet and leaving the field, once we knew he wasn't coming back, then we moved to do we ignite the 18th man?
Obviously, the tackle has been much talked about. You've been reluctant to weigh in for obvious reasons. You don't want to fuel the speculation. We're nearly a week on. Have you sort of sat down and had a look at it, or are you like most and find it difficult to watch?
Yeah, I've said that on the Sunday Footy Show on Sunday that it's not something easy to watch, and I am. I'll keep my feelings from that incident to myself, and we're 5-6 days on now, and anything I say is only going to bring it up again, and the people involved don't need that.
How's Reece going, Billy? Is he a walk-up start for game 2, or is there some doubt because of the concussion?
Well, there's still some time, between here and the team getting selected. So, look, Reece, I spoke to him over the weekend, and, the priority is for him to, overcome, the incident. And, from what Reece is telling me, he's doing okay at the moment. Obviously he missed the game on the weekend for the Broncos. He'll miss the Friday night clash against the Rabbitohs due to the 11-day stand-down protocol. So, 2 games there have sort of been taken away from him. But, the priority for Reece is that, he gets over this concussion that he sort of got dealt, and his health is the number one priority here.
There's been a lot of debate about the tackle and everything else, but like you've said on the Footy Show, and like most people have said, when we have a player eliminated from the game in that fashion, and I think Robert Craddock wrote a really good article in the Courier Mail when he said that, this is the pin-up boy in rugby league at the moment, and when you've got kids watching the game early on and they're saying to mum and dad, why is Reece Walsh's eyes rolling around in his head? That's the reason why it had to be punished the way it did, 4-week suspension, whether it should have been longer or not. We can't have that sort of thing in our game.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on any of that sort of stuff or the penalty. I know how hard Reece worked to prepare for the game. He was really clear about what his footy looked like and what his game looked like, and he was ready to go after it. And that was probably the most disappointing thing for me, that was taken away from him. And so I'm sure he'll get another chance.
You copped a bit of criticism for naming Selwyn Cobbo on the bench. I suppose you were vindicated, weren't you, Billy? You look like the master coach that you've become.
No, that doesn't make me feel any more comfortable. It's hindsight's a great thing, and for 3/4 of the year, it's my job to give my opinion, and the game would be pretty boring if everyone kept their opinions to themselves, and I get that. So look, at the end of the day, I've got a job to do for Queensland, and that's to sit back and watch all our players build Queensland's best possible team, and I take a lot of pride and responsibility in that role. But I get the other side of it too. I get everyone's got to have their opinion, and that's why our game and that's why State of Origin is so great, is because we talk about it. And the people of Queensland, the people of New South Wales, they sit in their smoko rooms and the schoolyards and at their workplaces, and they discuss all these things and what their team looks like and who they would have in the team. But at the end of the day, that's my role for Queensland. That's my role for this footy team, is to sit back and understand all the habits in individuals' games and build Queensland's best footy team. And a lot of the decisions are calculated, and I discuss them with people that I value their opinion, and that's what the decisions we came up with. And it doesn't always work out, but I was pretty happy to have Selwyn Cobbo on the bench when we had an outside back go down.
Well, what about some of the standout performers, Billy? I know you'll look at a team in general, but a lot of raps given to Daly Cherry Evans, Tom Dearden, the Hammer, who was forced to come in and play a really important role in that team. Can you pinpoint a few individuals who impressed you on the night?
You could go through nearly everyone. Look, I think the two old boys did a fantastic job. Daly Cherry Evans and Ben Hunt, they're the real leaders of this footy team, and the best trait that a leader can have is go out and perform their role in their positions, and they do that every time that they pull on the maroon jersey. They're great mates. They lean on each other, on the field. They lean on each other away from the field, and it's good to see them go out there and perform the way they're doing for Queensland at the latter part of their careers. And I just look at those two guys' games, and it's hard for the other 15 guys not to follow them. But you could go to the middle of the field and look at Lindsay, Ruben, Paddy. I thought Mo and Jermaine Hopgood through that middle were fantastic. Even guys outside, the 17. Felice Kafusi, he came on and did a wonderful job. I thought Ezra and Brendan Piakura were great throughout the week. So you could go through the whole team, and they all really stood up. Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow was fantastic, moving positions, and he's been great over the last couple of years at this level. So there are a number of standouts, but those two old fellas, they really set the tone for the boys.
I'm getting a bit thin on top, Billy. I don't think I'm going to go down the path of Felice Kafusi's haircut, though. He's a unique individual. Good on you, Felice. Well done. We move to New South Wales, and obviously you'll do your homework once their team is named. But working with the big man, Daryl Broman, who's a proud Queenslander on the weekend, he doesn't want to see Latrell Mitchell in the New South Wales side because he described him as an intimidating player. Are you of the same opinion when it comes to Latrell, given the potential and what he showed in the Origin arena, if he's picked for New South Wales?
Yeah, look, this is through this time of the year, Mark. I don't give focus where I don't need to give focus. I don't allow my energy to be siphoned through things that I can't control. And right now, my role is as the Queensland coach. I get my role in the media, but for this 6 to 7 week period, it takes a back seat, and I purely focus on what we can control. And right now, our game is what we can control, and that's where my focus is. for this footy team. So, we'll do our due diligence once, the teams get named, and we'll do our preparation on the individuals and collectively as the New South Wales team. But, right now my head doesn't go there and my mind doesn't go there.
Two more on Origin and then we'll get into the NRL. Peter Volandi's open to the idea of Origin being played on Monday nights to protect the integrity of the NRL and limit the preparation for New South Wales and Queensland. You're the Maroons coach. I'm of the opinion if it ain't broke, don't fix it. What say you, Bill?
Yeah, I think it works the way it is. The one thing I am pretty sure of is the 10-day preparation allows for the quality of the game. If you reduce the preparation, you're risking reducing the quality of the performance. And at the end of the day, we've seen the numbers throughout, both the men and the women's state of origin. They're elite and they're right at the top of the tree. So if you start playing with the product, you risk diminishing the performances of the team. So that's one thing that I have been very forward about is the quality of the product. That's the reason why people watch State of Origin. That's the reason why it's held in such regard is because of the quality of the game. And I don't think we need to go near that.
Hey, speaking of women's origin, what a thriller. Game 2 in Newcastle, packed house, driving rain. Sets up a decider in Townsville. What an incredible performance and a great show for the women's game, the rapid rise of the Women's Rugby League.
Weren't they tough and courageous and resilient? They hung in there. Look, the opening 2 games, New South Wales have had a whole heap of momentum, and in those conditions, they were under the pump, they were behind on the scoreboard, and the Queensland girls just hung in there in true Queensland style. And sitting back on the couch, I was really proud of them as a Queenslander, and now they get the opportunity to go up to Townsville and play in a decider. It's the first 3-match series for the women, and to take it up there in the decider is going to be incredible. And we just spoke about the numbers for the men's game, but the numbers for the women, I think over 1 million viewers on Channel 9. A packed out McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle, and I couldn't imagine there'll be a spare seat up there in Townsville. So, what an event it's been, and the girls have certainly held up their end of the bargain. The quality has been great.
Yeah, it certainly has. All right, big deep breath. Origin chat's done. Let's get into the NRL.
Was that hard, was it?
No, well, I've got to ask you the questions. And I know you're reluctant to talk about a few things, but hey, I tried. I did my job. West Tigers, well. Bill. Benji's learning the hard way what NRL coaching's all about. Do you reckon he's wishing he's still in Fiji? And I guess the question is, can we judge the West Tigers on this year, or do we have to wait for some of the players that they've recruited, the likes of Luai, to join next year? What are your thoughts on the Tigers at the moment?
Look, I haven't been dissecting them with a fine-tooth comb of late because I've been a bit busy myself, but they were leading at half-time. Like, obviously, the wheels fell off in the second half against the Dragons last week, but I just think sometimes, look, Benji hadn't even coached a game and he was getting criticised. Like, you got to give people a chance, and this is not an easy job to do. And if you're out there criticising him and you think you can do a better job, put your hand up. That's like, at the end of the day, like, he's in there having a go. He's trying to turn things around for his club. I believe he's the right person for the job. He's passionate about this club. He knows the game as good as anyone, and there's been times throughout the year that this team have looked like they're moving forward. Consistency isn't easy in this competition. And when you've got younger players, especially younger players in key positions, it's going to take time. We've heard Ricky Stewart talk about patience with these young players. You've got to be patient. At times, I feel in the media that we're a little bit impatient. But I feel for Benji because, he probably has to feel like he has to defend himself and validate some decisions he makes off the field. which is totally inappropriate. They get buys throughout the year. Players need to get away from the game. Coaches need to get away from the game. So give him a spell.
Yeah, and we'll wait and see what happens with this whole Lockie Galvin situation. Over at
what's
the Roosters,
going on there? What's the wash up with Lockie Galvin? Has he asked for a release or?
Well, apparently he's asked for a couple of releases and they've said no. And Shane Richardson, the CEO's come out in the paper today and he's virtually warning the rivals, keep your hands off Lockie and don't start talking to him, otherwise we'll come after you. So they obviously want to hold on to Lockie Galvin, and early on in his rugby league career at 18, obviously you'd be wrapped playing in the National Rugby League. So it's a bit strange, the whole thing, why I'd want to get out of the place, especially to work and train under a bloke by the name of Benji Marshall.
Yeah, totally agree. Sometimes we, the players want to move pretty quick these days, and sometimes it's just better to bide your time and stay where you are and learn your trade. And I find it strange. So I wonder if that's a player-driven thing or a manager-driven thing.
Get a bit more cash, maybe. Now, you, Billy, someone asked me the other day to describe you, and I've got to know you over the last couple of years, and I said, Billy strikes me as the sort of bloke who's meticulous in everything he does, and he sets a very high standard for himself and those around him. Which leads me to Brandon Smith. Now, he's been given a breach notice by the Roosters for not turning up to a team meeting, and there's a bit of confusion as to whether he slept in or whether he was out for a bite to eat with his mother. Either way, Billy, in a team environment, your team meeting's so important, and he needs to be better.
Absolutely. Yeah, without doubt. And you know what? Brandon Smith will be the first one to say, I've done the wrong thing. And, I'll cop it on the chin. If they're the guidelines and they're the standards of the environment that you're a part of, it's a team sport. You're not playing golf or tennis or anything like that. And Brandon knows that. He's a very honest person. I know Brandon Smith. Look, we all love him. He's a great character. He's a great fellow to be around. And he'll be the first person to put his hand up and go, that's on me. Sorry, guys. So I'm sure he said that to his teammates. They'll move on pretty quick. They'll probably move on quicker than, people talking about it. But I know Brandon, he'll put his hand up.
What about yesterday, Billy? Canterbury and Parramatta. There were 45,000 people out there at Accor Stadium, and the atmosphere was fantastic. I saw a clip this morning of Terry Lamb in the dressing room talking to the players about how the Dogs of War are back. Gee, the Bulldogs have been one of the big improvers this year, haven't they? Yeah,
and they were all entertained too. There was a wonderful game. I watched it obviously at home on telly, and it was so impressive. Parramatta looked like they had it in the bag there at 18-10, and then the Dogs, they kept fighting, and I thought Stephen Crichton was great. Matt Burton, he was whopping up those big torpedo bombs, and Connor Tracy's doing a wonderful job at the back. But it was a fantastic game, went right down to the wire, and I don't think anyone would have left early.
No, they're all still there. And from all reports, taking a few open line callers after the game, Freddie and myself on Wide World of Sports on 2GB last night, I think the celebrations continued on the roads in and around Sydney Olympic Park, honking the horns and everything else, so good on the Bulldogs fans. Warriors, they're missing some key players at the moment, but gee, the replacements are getting the job done, and I wanted to single out Tamari Martin if we could, Billy, because a couple of years ago he was nearly lost to the game because of bleeds on the brain, and he was given a chance again at the Broncos, then picked up by the Warriors, and gee, he's playing well, isn't he?
He's doing a great job. No Sean Johnson, Tuivasa Sheck's been out as well, and I don't know. I won't say they're back because I don't want to put the mock on them, but they played like they have done the last 12 months. There's been patches this year where they've just sort of gone away from a few things, but they were a ruthless team against the Cowboys, and they didn't give the Cowboys any oxygen. And Tamari Martin was good. Rocco Berry's been great. Chance Nickel-Klukstad. They're a wonderful team when they get it right, and I'm sure Andrew Webster will be highlighting all these things that they're doing right and that they got back to, and they might kick on from here. But they're a good footy team. I had them in. I think I had them in my top 4 at the start of the year, and they probably haven't lived up to their standard of last year, but they found that again on the weekend.
Can you give me some good news about my Rabbitohs? Are they back? You talk about teams being back. They had a good win over the Titans.
Yeah. Well, you probably need to wait a little bit longer, but they played well, didn't they? They played well. They looked happy. They looked like they were having fun, but they also did the tough stuff in the game. So changed a little bit of how they play, I noticed. Obviously, they've got Jack Whiten and Cody Walker in the halves, but usually Cody Walker will do the majority of the kicking. Because he got moved over to the right-hand side and he's a left-foot kicker, Latrell Mitchell actually did the majority of the kicks. So that was a little bit of a game plan that I noticed against the Titans, and I'm sure that's going to continue because when things work, you don't change them. So be interesting how that continues on in the future. But they were back to somewhere near their best, the Rabbits.
Come on, the Bunnies. Come on, the Rabbitohs. I was starting to think about taking down that jersey behind me.
Don't take that. You can't jump ship.
Mate, I was bullied by the continuous call team into getting the Rabbitoh tattooed on my arm with my late father's initials underneath it. Mate, they've won one game ever since I got the bloody tattoo. I've been looking into tattoo laser removal clinics.
Haven't they won 2 in a row?
Oh, okay.
Did they win?
2 then.
Yeah.
2.
You're a true supporter, aren't you, Levy? I want to find out. See if they won 2 in a row.
Tough times, anyway. We moved to the Panthers-Manly game. Panthers got home. This was another really entertaining game. We actually called this one out at the foot of the mountains on Sunday. You guys were there, of course, for 9. There are a couple of incidents out of this game that have got people talking. The Josh Aloye trip that's copped him a 2-match suspension, and then Nathan Brown, who pulled Jerome Luai's hair, but he was sort of grabbing for the jumper, which raises that whole pulling hair debate. What did you make of those 2 incidents on Sunday, Bill?
I thought one was an accident and one was deliberate, and I don't think you need to know which one was which. I thought Nathan Brown was just trying to get him. Jerome Luai does that better than anyone. Is prop, step back off his left foot, go back through the middle of the field, and Nathan Brown was just trying to grab him. Look, those things happen. Probably a penalty. I can see that being accidental. The other one I actually saw live. And I thought, what happened there? Someone just hit the deck, and I rewound it. that was a dead set brain explosion. That was, And in this day and age, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you might have got away with that. You can't get away with anything these days. So, Josh will regret his decision to do that, and he probably thought it straight away. What did I do then? Why did I do that? So. I'm sure he'd like to have his time over again.
Rightio, Bill, we get into the Billy M Awards, the most impressive team from round 14. Which team caught your eye over the weekend?
Yeah, we just spoke about them. It was the Warriors. I thought they were really impressive. Not only did they outplay their opposition, they did it away from home up in Townsville. It's not an easy place to go, Townsville, and huge difference in climate to where they normally play and away from home, but the way that they played, like I said, they didn't give the Cowboys any oxygen, and they just suffocated them, and they're the team of the week.
There were a few standout individual performers over the course of the weekend. Most impressive player in round 14?
Yeah, there were a number. I just can't go past Brian Toto scoring 3 tries. He does it every week, and we start expecting it from him. Even the tackle breaks, I think he had about 13 tackle busts, so I think he's got 100 for the year. He's having a great year, Brian Toto, and he was the player of the week.
When you see David Middleton on the weekend, can you ask him a question for me? When was the last time we had 2 players score 3 tries each in one half of football? Because Tommy Talau for Manly, he scored 3 tries in the first half as well.
Yeah. He ended
Crazy.
I think he ended up getting 4, didn't he?
Yeah.
In the game, but in the first half, both played on the left-hand side of the field, so that's the side everyone wanted to go to, and I'm not sure. Larks Middo for you.
see if we can get an answer to that one. We go to our listener questions. There's 3 of them this week. The first one's from Mick. Billy, great win last week. My question is, where would you rank Daly Cherry Evans amongst the all-time greatest Queensland players? He has a terrific record in the Origin arena. That one from Mick, Bill.
Yeah, it's a good question. Haven't we had some great halfbacks? You think of Alan Langer, Cooper Cronk, Jonathan Thurston. Yeah, and Daly Cherry Evans, he's played, 23 Origins, I'd say. The majority of them would be as captain as well. He's been the captain since 2019. He's done a wonderful job, and I spoke about, Daly off the top of the show with Ben Hunt. The thing that he's getting right is he's getting his performance in his position right before he's, being a leader and helping everyone else. But brings so much to the footy team, and he'd be pretty proud of his performances of late, and be pretty proud of his representative career when it comes to a close.
The old legs were going, weren't they, when he took that intercept and raced away? I thought, is he going to have the pace? He's still going.
He didn't have the pace, but he had the skill.
He did. Good on you, Daly. This one from Fiona. Billy, what exactly did you say to the hammer when you came down to the sideline after the Walsh incident? Whatever you said, could you say it again for him for Game 2? It certainly worked a treat. Go Queensland. Thanks from Fiona.
Yeah, it was an interesting one because in the captain's run the day before, I was on the sideline, and we usually go up and have a look at the box and just work out where we're going to sit and just familiarise ourselves with the environment that we're going to be in. And we actually walked up the grandstand, and I actually thought to myself, this isn't very far from the sideline. So I thought if needed, and I need to go down there and talk to individuals or a group of players, well, why not? Save sending the message down. And so we sort of had a discussion about it, before the game. And then when obviously Hammer went back to fullback and Reece went off the field, I didn't have too much time with Hammer as a fullback and talking about, some of the details, that we focus on in that position. And so I just thought, if we score a try, I'm going to head down there and just have a quick little chat with Hammer. And it's like anything. There's no magic formula. There's no, magic words or anything like that. It's the simple parts of the game that you need to get right. So that was the first thing that I wanted to go and express to Hammer is just some of the real simple parts of the game to focus on. And, that's stuff you don't even see. It's stuff away from the footy. It's communication. It's helping your defensive line and all that sort of stuff. And then the second thing, I just wanted him to feel really confident into going after his game. And that was probably the last thing I left him with, that, this is your time. Go and get after this game and get involved and be you. So they were the two things that I spoke to Hammer about. And, like I said, there's no magic words. It's just about putting little focuses in players' minds, and whether it helped him or not, he probably was going to go on and do what he did anyway. He was already doing it. So, just sort of something that popped into my head, and I thought, why not go and do it?
I must admit, when I saw you running down those stairs, I thought to myself, hang on, he's going to pull the boots back on here, Billy. This is going to be one of the greatest comebacks of all time.
Hammer thought he was in trouble.
And look, there's one here from Tom that says, will you please come out and coach Parramatta, or are you ruling it out? You've already made it clear that you're focused on coaching Queensland. You've got your 9 commitments. But but I suppose your most important role that's lost in all of this is you've got a young family that you've got to, be the father of, and, a good husband to Nicole and everything else. So while everyone talks about all of your work commitments, you're raising a beautiful young family down there in Melbourne too, Bill. Yeah,
that's it. And everyone's juggling that. We just spoke about Benji Marshall. He's got a young family. It's the one thing that, and we talk about, should players do this or should coaches do that, or, don't go there. Like, seriously, who are we to tell people what to do with their life? The one thing you get in your life is your time. It is your time, and you have control over what you do with your time. So I just think sometimes we get caught up into, he shouldn't go there, he should do this, and our opinions get really strong. At the end of the day, it's your life, and you have full control over it. And right now, my life, I'm really happy in my life. My private life is great. Really passionate about my horses and that side of things. I get to work with the club that I love in the Melbourne Storm. I get to support, the footy team that I adored growing up, and it inspired me in the Queensland Rugby League, and play and help the players build for a performance that would make our people proud. So, life's pretty good at the moment. I can't complain.
Yeah. Well said. If you've got any questions for Billy over the coming weeks, Billy Slater Podcast at 9.com.au is the email address. Billy Slater Podcast at 9.com.au. Let's finish up with a look ahead to round 15. Gee, time flies when you're having fun. Sharks Dolphins get us underway Thursday. Rabbitohs Broncos, Warriors Storm, Eels Roosters. Some of the games to look forward to this coming weekend, Bill.
Always a great battle, the Warriors and the Storm. I don't know what it is. Even when the Warriors come to Melbourne, I know this one's played over in New Zealand, it's always a big crowd. There's a lot of Warriors supporters in Melbourne. I feel sometimes half of the time they're Melbourne supporters and they just turn Warriors supporters for one game. But they play for the Mick Moore Trophy, and I know there's going to be a huge contingent of Melbourne Old Boys going over to New Zealand to celebrate the life of Mick Moore, who's obviously passed away now, but he was the inaugural football manager of the Melbourne Storm. So it'll be a big occasion over there in Auckland. So that'll be a big one. The Broncos and the Rabbits, obviously the Rabbits, they've scored, 88 points in the last 2 weeks. So Broncos are still trying to find their best form. They were well below par on the weekend, so that should be a great encounter as well.
Fantastic. Well, Bill, I know I speak on behalf of our listeners. It's a busy time of the year for you. Thanks for giving us half an hour of your time for the Billy Slater Podcast, and we'll see you on the telly this weekend with Nine's Wide World of Sports. Go well, mate.
Thanks, Mark. Enjoy.
This year, NRL on 9 is your one-stop shop for all footy.
That's right, Freddie. Not about the highlights. Action. 7 days a week.
Billy and Gus Podcast, get that on your drive on the way home. Immortal Behaviour. Grab a seat on the couch for that. And, of course, my favourite, Freddie and the Own.
The best footy brains, the biggest games.
Don't trust the algorithm. Subscribe to NRL on 9 and get all your entertainment there.